We decided to homeschool. Where do you start? When your daughter's been to public school for 4 years and your son's done 1 year, how do we do this? So then I decided that this would be the prime opportunity to pick up marijuana again because I could get by if I just could suppress with that. And that ended up being a downward spiral. I've always said from the beginning of my story, I should have wrote down everything. So many things have happened. It's all God's work. One day, I was starting to finally feel good about homeschooling, starting to decompress, I guess, a little bit. I remember Sweet Pat, she's in my Bible study, and she tapped me on and she goes, "Oh dear, that's your Holy Spirit." And I'm like, "My holy what?"
What has been the biggest lesson you've learned coming to Mossbrook? How would you describe yourself to someone who's never met you before, maybe someone who's watching?
I'm very outgoing, and I am a go-getter. I like to go. I love everybody. That's me.
Oh, yes. We thank you so much for coming on the So What's the Point podcast. Very glad that you could come here, have a conversation with us. Can you give us a little bit of your backstory, a little bit of how you grew up, where you grew up, some of the people who really influenced you growing up?
I was born and raised in Harrison. I never went very far. After high school, I just worked. I had a good job. As a child, I was diagnosed with an astrocytoma brain tumor, which I live with. Still to this day, it's inoperable, non-cancerous. And I had to carry health insurance for myself once I turned 18. So I had a good job, started out life. Had a great upbringing, great mom and dad, have a couple brothers, and never went far. Now I'm in Bridgeton, so I didn't spread my wings and fly very far. Always had a good job, supported myself until I met my husband in my late 20s, and then started my family.
So that brain tumor, what was it called again?
Astrocytoma brain tumor.
Could you explain that? So I don't really understand it, and I know there'll be people listening to this who don't quite understand it.
When I was 14, I was in 7th and 8th grade. I was in middle school. Yeah. Started having severe headaches, vision impairment, different things that were not good. They first thought it was just migraines, medication after medication. Then finally decided to do a CAT scan, and it showed the tumor. And it was like bam, bam, bam. Then they took me in for a biopsy. They placed a shunt, which drains the fluid from my brain to my belly. That was causing the headaches and causing the issues, basically. And then they just monitored me closely for years. It was a slow-growing pediatric brain tumor. So supposedly, I wasn't supposed to have any troubles, which I never had, thank God. And I had MRIs every 3 months, and then it was every 6 months, and then it was yearly, and then they're like, well, there's been absolutely no change in this tumor. We're not going to scan you unless you have a problem. So it's been years, probably 15 years now since I've had a scan, and I have no troubles. I take no medications. Awesome. But it was a big thing in my childhood that really changed a lot of things because I went through 8th grade, 9th grade, started high school. I still had a lot of troubles and whatever. Was in the nurse's station a lot, just adjusting. Had half my head shaved and 38 stitches from the shunt placement or staples. So yeah, it was quite a. But I loved high school. I was in the technical program. Took truck driving actually.
Oh wow.
Because my father had an excavation company, and I thought I was going to drive truck. So I took truck driving, and the tech school saved my life at Oxford Hills. It was a really great experience, and lucky I had that.
Yeah, what were you learning there at that tech course? It
was trade,
school.
So I was learning truck driving, the skills of truck driving. Sure. Also, I took my math and my English through there. So it was, at that time, the tech school was removed from the high school.
Okay.
So it was very different. It was like a whole new world. It was awesome, actually. You got a lot more, not freedom to be bad. It was just more of a grown-up kind of you were separated from the high school, Okay. It was neat.
Different environment,
wholeheartedly. I found the teachers were awesome compared to some of the teachers at the high school. So
That's interesting.
It was a great experience.
Huh.
Yeah, and I also took like woodworking and
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
welding and all those. I was not a kind of kid that liked school really, and wasn't a book kind of smart kid. So the hands-on learning was far better for me.
Did you have any prominent teachers in that tech program taking all those different courses? Was there any specific person that stood out and really drove you to do more of it? Is there any person guiding you through it?
Because I was still, coming off being sick for a couple of years, or not sick, but going through that
Sure.
transition of that in those years, in the support. I had Richard Strout and Brian Bean, who Brian Bean just went to heaven. He touched lots of children. Lots of kids. He was the forestry teacher, which I wasn't in forestry. My brother was in forestry, but he was a prominent part of the technical school. And he really helped make school enjoyable, make it worth going, because there were some days I was like, I don't even want to go. But you'd see these teachers. Joe Hatch, he's gone too. He was a wonderful teacher. He was my math teacher. But they do leave a lasting impression, especially when you're having hard times per se. They make it easier.
Speaking of that, having a person like that, how important is it, and how important has it been for you to have a so-called mentor like that in your life?
Very important. So I didn't mention, I was not raised with faith. We never went to church as a child. I had no faith base. And the reason I'm here, and God is the most biggest reason, but was a good friend of mine who kind of helped me navigate what I was going through. That essentially led me here. And she is still to this day a mentor I can count on, and she always has good advice for me, helps me. I learned so much from her, and I'm grateful for that. So the reason why we started with faith was my family, my husband and I have 2 children, Rosie and James. Rosie's 11, James is 7. And at the time, they were 4th grade and kindergarten in the public school system.
Okay.
We just had come to a point where we were not satisfied with the public school and really struggling with our moral compass was going one way, theirs was going another. Yeah. And we're like, this doesn't align, this doesn't work for us. A lot of things were happening at school. And then I started advocating my husband too, started advocating for our children and fighting the fight, basically, is what I say. And we essentially, after 6 months of trying so hard to work with them, to understand what was going on and whatever, we were defeated. We were defeated and we were down and out. And it was our children. What do we do? Where do you go, you know? So all of a sudden, I just felt this push to go to church, and felt this need that we needed help from a higher power. God needed to help us. We needed him. We needed something. Both my parents' folks are gone. My folks are gone. So it's kind of us. And so one day, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my husband works 6 days a week. And I was like, how are we going to ever have time to go to church? Which is a ridiculous thing, but in reality, it's not. And so I said to my husband one day, I said, I think we should go to church. And so we talked about it, and maybe we'll go every other Sunday. Maybe we'll go once a month. So we decided to go to a small church in Freiburg, where we didn't know anybody, because we just kind of wanted that to be for our family. We didn't want it to be like a social event of talking to because we know a lot of people. And so we ended up going to a church that we didn't realize didn't preach the truth. They were not a Bible-believing church, and we were kind of at a dead wall. I mean, here we are again. We're like, wait a minute, this isn't what we wanted either. We wanted something to support our values, our views on life, our reason for thinking, and that wasn't it. Rosie was going to horseback riding at a local farm in Harrison, and we ended up her teacher at horseback riding was a friend, my brother's friend's daughter.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so it was a very small world,
Yeah.
basically, how it all happened. It was God's work. God was working like overtime in our life. And Rosie was over to my brother's shop one day just talking about her horseback teacher. And
Sure.
and he's like, wait a minute. And he goes, Tracy, his wife wants to help you with homeschooling. Why don't you get over there? Because at this point, we decided to homeschool. And we were drowning in that. Like, where do you go? Where do you start? When your daughter's been to public school for 4 years and your son's done 1 year, how do we do this? I had no idea. I wasn't homeschooled, So that's when I started working with Tracy about transitioning to homeschool. And she was a tremendous help. And then one day I went there in tears because I'm like, this church we started going to is not preaching the truth. What do we do? Like, so she helped me work through that. And she said, you gotta come check out Moss Brook. And then I was like, oh no, you can't just leave a church, because what do I know? We're like new to church. What do we know? You can't just leave a church. And she's like, you can visit other churches. It's okay, So we came over one Sunday, and the first time I came here, I remember I like ran out of here because it was total opposite of the church we'd been attending, which was very old fashioned. Average age was 80. Not families. The whole goal of church was to find families and other homeschool families and get some groups for our children. And I about ran out of here that first day between the music, the people, the everything. And then we never left. This is exactly what we were looking for. God worked again and placed Moss Brook in our life. And then once we really got our feet wet here, we really realized what there was here and exactly what we wanted for our children. The Treehouse program, the Bloom group for our daughter. Since then, Joshua's Rangers started. My husband's the leader of Joshua's Rangers, so my son does that. The children's ministry here is phenomenal. What my children retain just on a Sunday in an hour is... I've always said from the beginning of my story, I should have wrote down everything because it's just like so many things have happened. So many just pieces just keep on clicking together. And it's like, it's all God's work. And I've learned that, which I had no clue about before being defeated, and just being so down and out. What do you do? And he saved us, picked us up and said, it's going to be okay. And now we're here, which is, I don't even, there's not words for it really. And then just since we've been here, when we started coming here, there was one service at 9:30. Then it went to 2 services. Now it's gone to 3 services. And what I just love watching is the young families and the young children that are coming in, because this is going to save their family too. This is going to save their children. It is just awesome. And it's so great for my kids, the friendships they've built, the friendships we've built with folks here, and getting involved and being parts of things. And it's our family. It really is our family and our everything, really. I love it.
Yeah, I definitely want to come back to this. So a question that popped up was, were there any beliefs or morals that were changed along the way of first coming to church and now coming to here?
Not really changed, just reinforced. Just gave me more power to what we think and how we believe, and justification to why we think what we believe.
Yeah, so a reinforcer of what you already...
Absolutely. Validation.
That's so interesting to me because usually you hear, I didn't grow up in a Christian home, right? And then someone goes to church for the first time and then their whole world gets flipped. Like, oh, I didn't think about this way. I don't believe that this is wrong, and it's this whole change. Can you go back? Like, how were your parents? What would be a good way to describe your parents and your family in general that you grew up in?
So my father was much older. Okay. So he was an older dad, and he was 20 years older than my mom. So we were, he was a Korean War veteran. He was very old-fashioned, per se. So we were raised old-fashioned, not like, Little House on the Prairie, but the morals, very old-fashioned. And I think that just got ingrained in me as a child. And once I had my own children, I was like, well, I'm definitely carrying that on. That's how I feel it should be, my opinion. Some of the things that his beliefs, now, I wouldn't agree with now,
right?
Because it was very, very old school. But I call myself old school, stuck in the 80s, like where our kids don't have phones and aren't on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. We're very simple. We live a simple life, which is really good, But my mom was a musician. She was in the Portland Symphony Orchestra.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's
she was
really
a cellist in the Portland Symphony Orchestra. She went to Eastman School of Music. The reason she met my dad was because her family would come here in the summer to their summer house, their summer camp on McQueen Pond. And my dad owned a restaurant in Harrison Village at the time, and she was a waitress there.
Okay.
And so then they fell in love, and she's passed away, but she was in the Portland Symphony for almost 40 years. Wow. So she was there a very, very long time. Yep. And my parents did get divorced when I guess I was 12 when they got divorced. But we all lived in Harrison, and it was a very open divorce per se. We could go wherever we wanted to, when we wanted, They got along to the best they could to make it easy for us kids. It was devastating them getting divorced, and it did change our life a lot, but their love wasn't changed. Their way of raising us didn't change.
I'm assuming from 40 years that she was in the orchestra as you guys grew up. Yeah. Did you ever go?
We went all the time. My mom also did the kinder concert. She developed the kinder concert program through the Portland Symphony Orchestra. So she'd go around all the schools in the state of Maine. We grew up around music. My grandparents were musicians. My uncle and his wife are musicians. We're surrounded by it. When I was a child, I played the violin. Okay. My brother played the trombone. My grandfather died of a massive heart attack when I was probably 9 years old, and he was my biggest driver of my violin. And when he passed away, I kind of gave it up. I just didn't want to do it anymore. And my mom didn't really push me. I wish now she had, but she didn't. And so I gave it up, My goal is to get on these drums like these kids on Sundays, because the drums are just phenomenal, But that's a dream someday.
Make that happen.
Oh yeah. I mean, you never know. You never know. But none of us are in music now. We're all very different from that. But and I think that's where my moral standard, and sometimes I say it's very different than others. We raise our kids differently, but it's in a good way. I think wholesome, simple, good life.
What was one of your biggest fears with taking your kids out of the public school and homeschooling them?
That they would have no friends.
Okay.
That they would lose a social network. Which, let me tell you, the void has been filled right here. You know what I mean? Because it's a snowball effect. Soccer. Yep. So Rosie, the kids were never really into sports. And Rosie this year joined the JV soccer team, which was... there's no words for it. I can't, and I'm not very short of words very often, but she, this blossomed her. I mean, when preseason there, where they come for that week, there was a lot of tears, there was a lot of fears. Once we got through that, the friendship she made, the self-esteem she got, the commitment, she knew she had to come every day, and she loved it. She loved it. And with that came a social network for James, because all the little brothers and sisters are out there hanging out. They had they call it the dinosaur team. So all the little kids would get together and bring their dinosaurs and play, and then you make friends on the sideline, So that was another phenomenal thing that we're so blessed to have. And she's just waiting for August now to get back on the field, And then the varsity kids, there's nothing like the teams and how supportive and encouraging, and it's just so, you don't see that. I've never seen it anywhere else, and I'm sure there is more out there like that, but that they all just are a big group. There's there's no separation. They're a big group. They support each other. When they were doing the preseason, and these kids are dying out here. I mean, it's hot. They're doing their laps. They're all out of tune. They're just like, but they're encouraging each other, and just I could feel it as a parent from those kids, just encouraging each other, and then friendships blossom there. It's pretty neat. It's a neat thing to watch happen for your kids. And I feared without public school, what are we going to do? Even though they didn't have like a lot of friends at school, but what were we going to do? What activities would we have? Now I can't, I don't stop because there's so many activities, James is in a homeschool soccer team, a soccer group that's run by some great families, so it's just and then you build friendships there, and so it's really nice. I'm grateful.
Yeah, I mean, you're super passionate about teaching the kids and the young teens who are coming up, just to give them some guidance. I mean, I'm just feeling it come off of you from everything you're saying. Man, what really drives you just to go out and help out with the kids ministry here and just be a light to those people?
Well, God. He's definitely my Holy Spirit, and that's another thing I learned about in my, so with all my steps and all of God's work for me, I got into a small group, which, being somebody that's not a religious person, you think of Bible study and I talk way too much. I'm way too much for a Bible. But Bible study is, I look forward to it. Yeah. The support of the women, the just being able to count on that every week. You learn so much. And I can remember one day I was starting to finally feel good about homeschooling and just starting to decompress, I guess, a little bit. And I was I could just underneath my arms, I could feel there was wind under my wings. Yeah. I remember Sweet Pat, she's in my Bible study, and she tapped me on, and she goes, "Oh dear, that's your Holy Spirit." And I'm like, "My holy what are you talking about, Pat?" So, you learn so much. And now I know I think my Holy Spirit pushes me to do that for children, because I can connect with anybody. You know what I mean? I think I can, unless they are just totally turned off by my, energy. But kids, I love kids, and my kids are my world, So I like to offer that to children, and there's a lot of children out there that need love. Yeah. And so I try to do what I can.
Has it changed from before finding God and having faith to now, how much you care?
Yes, I would say about other children, I guess, and also the growth of my own children has allowed that too. Okay. Because when they were younger, I was always a stay-at-home mom, so that was my life, And we had play groups at the park and all that, but I never had the connections like I do now with children, or the want to do what I do with the children now. When my kids were young, I had a lot going on with the loss of my dad, shy of my daughter's first birthday, and my mom was diagnosed with cancer when my son was 6 months old and passed away 7 weeks later. I didn't have, I guess, the time in my head to be able to do it at that time. Now I am clear and can do that, So.
Was there a specific moment in time where faith became extremely real for you?
Yes.
What was that moment?
If you go back a little bit, so in my 20s, I worked and I partied. That was my life, was work and party. And I loved my job and I loved to have a good time. Yep. So with that, I started smoking marijuana socially in my 20s, and never really was an issue. until, and then when I met my husband, like, I was done with all of it. I didn't party anymore. Like, that void was filled with love and starting a life and wanting to have children and all that. And then my mom, when James was 6 months old, when my mom got sick, I hit rock bottom because I was caretaking for her. I was giving her rides where she needed to go, being her advocate, along with having 2 children and a husband. So my plate was full. So then I decided that this would be the prime opportunity to pick up marijuana again, because I could get by if I just could suppress with that. And that ended up being a downward spiral of no goodness, and a dependency, a great dependency of using marijuana to get by, basically. That's one of my greatest things, I guess, that God gave me, was the ability to overcome the addiction of marijuana, and his support and his, like, just drive behind me of, you can do it. And November 11th, 2024, I put it down and haven't touched it again. And I think that was the turning point of, holy moly, this is real. Yeah. This is real. And that is just when I was starting to homeschool my kids. We were pulling, I went through what we did with the school system, and I was really down and out on multiple levels. Learning in the Bible about truth, I was living a big lie, because that was something I kept to myself. Not many people knew. I definitely kept it from my children. Yeah. So here I am lying to my children, and you can't do that. I couldn't. I was in a really bad spot in my belly because my daughter's, well, at the time was 9. How can you tell her not to do it and then I'm doing it? So you can't lie. And I think that was my biggest, like, turning point of faith was, it's real. This is real. This is real. And if he can help me, he can help anybody. And that's what I say. Like, gotta believe. Gotta believe and open that book.
Yeah. Let's say there's someone listening to this who's struggling with that addiction. What would be something you could tell them to help them overcome the addiction and to drop it?
Just have faith and hope. And that's another thing I've learned a lot about at church, is hope. And hope is something that is so lost. And there is hope, and you can do it. You got to believe in yourself, and you've got to pray a lot, and surround yourself with, I don't know what the term is, but like a faith-seasoned person, that somebody that really just can. I can remember one of the first times, Tracy, we were having a conversation. I'm crying. I'm down and out. And she goes, will you just pray with me? And she gave me her hands. I'm like, what is this? This feeling that came over me. Holy moly, the power of prayer.
With the public school, going through it when you were growing up.
Oh, I had great. See, and that was one of my things that I was like, why isn't my children's education like mine? Why isn't it like it was when I was in elementary school? Like, I can remember so fondly some of my teachers, the librarian, the gym teacher, the lunch lady. You know what I mean? Like, all these little things. Why doesn't my children have that same? And then I tried to make it that, which you can't. Oh, okay, you never recreate what once was. That's what I think just disappointed me so, is this just how things have just changed so, and what is focused on now, how things are taught, what is taught. My daughter did in 4th grade, was doing a research project, and research was Google, getting on the computer and using Google. And that was one of the things I went to the teacher, and I'm like, why aren't we going to the library? Why aren't the children, like, getting books? Well, no, we use Google. And I'm like, oh, well, not my child. This is nuts. Now, some people might think that's great, and to each his own. Everybody's doing their own thing, but that's not how I think it should be. Our kids need to learn how to open a book and find what they're looking for, and have resources, and have the ability to do that, not type it up. So, and I think I wanted Rosie to be, I wanted more for Rosie, 4th grade girl. And just some of the things that she was coming home with, some of the work she was coming home with, and I'm like, well, this is kind of nuts, and we're not going to do this anymore. I guess I couldn't, and you can't get any. We couldn't get anywheres to make any sort of change or any sort of have them see where we're coming from. I mean, it felt like we were just, blockaded, and your ideas aren't good, and this is the way it's done, and so.
Okay. Yeah. Now I've got a very interesting question. Let's say there's someone who wants to pull their kids out of the public school to homeschool them like you did. What would be a few steps that you could give them to help them to be able to do that and do that efficiently and well?
The first thing I hear a lot of people say is, I can't do it.
Okay.
You can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's not easy. By no means is it easy.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's some days are very hard. Other days are wonderful, The biggest thing is you need support. You need somebody that's been there, done that can help you navigate, because you kind of get out to sea. You get online and you're like, oh, this will be great. Oh, this will be great. Oh, this will be great. There's Homeschoolers of Maine, which is a Christian-based homeschool program, which is phenomenal. They have all sorts of people that can help you. They have all sorts of groups for kids. They have all sorts of advocacy. They have anything. If you just went in there and said, I want to homeschool my kid, they could set you up. That's not the avenue I went, but if somebody was starting fresh and didn't have a friend or a guidance, that's where I would say, and just, you can do it. It breaks my heart sometimes when I hear these mamas say, I just can't do it. I see mamas with 10 kids homeschool their kids. I see mamas with 1 kid homeschool their kid. The other barrier is, sometimes financials, work, life, whatever, which that's hard. I'm grateful that we're able to do it. Yeah. But you can do it, is what I say. Anybody can do it.
Oh, man. Yeah. What are you doing now? What programs are you using? Maybe a few things we can put in the link to the description of this video if anyone's wondering.
We use the Good and the Beautiful.
Okay.
Which we started with Abeka, which was very hard for me. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I get into? I'm like, and then a friend of mine that I met through here, she's like, she's raising her grandson with her husband, and she's homeschooled him since, I think, 2nd grade. And she's like, come check out my classroom. Let me show you what I do. And that's really like how I learned what I've learned, is just people taking me under their wing and showing me what they do. And so she started showing me the Good and the Beautiful. And of course, she had everything. She'd saved everything. And she's like, he's going into 6th or 7th grade. Why don't you just take this home? Yeah. I'm like, all this curriculum, like, free? Are you serious? Really? And so I took with that and I ran with it. And then in talking to some other mamas, a lot of folks do the Good and the Beautiful because it is a very, you can just like open the book and go. There's not much you need to like pre-plan, pre-do. Sure. And it's very, I love how it repeats, like it goes back, like James is learning, telling time and fractions or whatever. So you'll go ahead and then you'll go back and review, and then you'll go ahead and go back and review. And I really like the way the program's set up. And it's doable. It's, it's about a half hour, for half hour, 40 minutes for like math and language arts is about 40 minutes. So it takes us about 4 hours in the morning to get through all our stuff. Sure. But then also we're involved in a homeschool group, and we've got Treehouse group here, which they learn in such a short time the seeds that are planted by everybody, the volunteers, Miss Andrea. It's phenomenal. James, my 7-year-old, blows me away sometimes with his knowledge of the Bible at 7. And we've only been here 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, this is very fresh. And Rosie too, but she's older, and I would think she would absorb a lot. But they both, it's wonderful. It really. And again, like I veer away from the computers. That was one of my things with the public school too, was the use of computers at school. I mean, it is outrageous the amount of time these kids are on computers and not always learning either. So we do no computer. And I'm sure Rosie, as she's getting older, will get into the more of the online schooling. But right now we don't use the computers. We're just old school.
What has been the biggest turning point or lesson you've learned coming to Mossbrook?
To say no.
Okay, explain.
So I am a yes. Oh yeah. I'll do it. I'll do it.
Is that how we got you here?
And when I first went, yeah, Gemma. So when I'm a pleaser, I guess too. So like I'll do anything, you know. Oh yeah, but then I realized there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much energy in me. So to not say yes to everything, and it's okay, they will survive without you, you know, kind of thing. Which is I work on every day. And that's not just here. That's life. You know, my just saying no and downtime, and appreciate that a little bit more, and then. Yes, I'll do it. I can do it. And then I'm like in tears. What did I say yes to? You know?
Yeah.
So, because it's just like, you know, during soccer season was so busy because you're here every day and which is wonderful. It's great. I'm not complaining. But then I'm like, well, maybe after soccer it will slow down. Well, then comes Christmas. Okay, after Christmas it's going to slow down. Well, now we're February 15th and it hasn't slowed down yet. I'm like, maybe March is my month. I don't know. And then, you know, but then comes gardens and animals and whatever. So it's just, life is busy. And I try to keep it simple. Sometimes I get a little, you know, I say yes to too much, but I've learned, sometimes the hard way, but that no is okay. And it's not a big deal. So.
Yeah. I'm going to shift gears a little bit here. So you went through this huge period of a lot of change, of taking your kids out of public school and trying to find a good church. And I was wondering, how has faith shaped your marriage?
So Rick and I have been together for about 15 years, married for 13 this July, which is unreal for me to think about. It has honestly blossomed my husband. We're complete opposites. He's quiet, he's shy, he doesn't really talk. But coming here, he got involved in a small group, which then he met a great group of men, and he loves this small group. And then in turn, he started with the Joshua's Rangers. He's being baptized on the 21st, which is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, like, monument. And he made that decision. Like, he just said to me one day, I talked to Pastor Tim and I'm going to get baptized. And I'm like, what? It's just like I don't know, he's just blossomed or whatever the word is. He's just come out of his shell a lot, which has made it that much better, you know, because we're doing things together as a family, which is huge because he does work a lot, which is hard, but that's our life. But the time we do have together usually is focused around something with church, you know, and giving back. I mean, he often helps when there's, you know, helps needed, or like we had the fuel event the other day, and Michelle's like, we need husbands to clean up after, and he's willing to come over and help. And, you know, it's like, it's really great for our children to see, like, the family nucleus, you know, like that we all just do together and be together and have church together. But we all have our own things in church also, you know what I mean, which is great. So our marriage is I don't know, we have a wonderful marriage, and it's always been good. And if anything, God has just supported us growing miles and given us strength to be able to raise our children and do it together, you know.
There's quite a few people who have had bad experience with church.
Which makes me very sad. That's very sad to me.
Such a hard situation because there's so many churches who aren't really following what is in the Bible.
Right.
What is something you could say to someone who's maybe gone to a church before, had a horrible experience, and just decided faith isn't for me, God isn't for me? What is something you could try to explain to them to change their mind?
Just come listen to the music. For this church in particular.
Sure. Okay.
For Moss Brook, the music is just phenomenal. And it's not the old-fashioned hymns.
Yes.
It will leave you, like, the first couple times coming to church, we'd be driving down the road out of here and I'd be singing the songs out loud because it kind of just like, it amps you up and it makes you feel good. I also say that every church service, the sermon is like about me. I'm like, did Pastor Tim talk to me? It's like about, it's so relatable to life. And if you just listen to what they say, it is your life. It will work for you, and it will, just listen once, just listen. And I'm big about the small group too, the support of the small group. Give that a shot. I was talking to a woman the other day. She's like, well, I don't want to sit in a circle and just read the Bible out loud. And I said, there's so much more to that.
Yeah.
Like that's what like the view of a Bible study is. But really there's the friendships that come from it, the support that comes from it, the knowledge. You learn so much just in the conversation about what you're reading that that's where it gets you going. I think if you find the right church, you will appreciate it and like it for somebody that might have had a bad experience at some point.
How important is it for a church to have relatable messages with music that isn't so old school, so people who are, more, I'd say my age, maybe the generation above as well, coming in are they feel at home.
And that is another thing about this church is the young population. I mean, the young children, the young, it's important so they can relate, so they feel like it's for them, and it's real life. It's not, I don't know how to explain it. It's not drabby, and they really draw you in, and make you really want to hear what they have to say and relate. I guess it is relatable to life so much that you leave here or you say, so-and-so should have heard that, like a friend of yours or whatever, because it's so much like they could relate to it. And I'm always big about, you got to get online and look at Sunday service because it's you, or a friend or whatever. It is a church family. It really is. Like you get to know people. It's so easy to make friends. It's so, you walk out and everybody hugs and there's so much love in this church. It's fulfilling, I guess. You leave, like I say, an hour here we're here more than an hour, but your Sunday service, you leave here like rejuvenated. You leave here like you've been amped up or juiced up, and now you're ready for the week because you can do it. Pastor Tim and Master Mike told us it's okay. There is hope. We got it. We got this. And one of my most favorite things is when the band stops playing and just the people sing. If that doesn't get you, it is, because everybody sings. I can't sing for nothing, but I sing on Sunday morning like there's no tomorrow, and so does everybody else around you. Nobody, you don't feel ashamed. It's welcoming. It's very, from the front door, from the door greeters to everybody. You feel very comfortable here. That's the word. It's real too. You don't have, and everybody's different, but you don't have to get dressed up and wear your Sunday best and your suit and your tie and your dress and I love to wear a dress on a Sunday, but some days you come in your yoga pants and your sweatshirt and nobody bats an eye, because we're all just people. And that's because I do talk about church a lot out And, well, they wouldn't let me in there. Yes, they will. Everybody's broken. Everybody's, down and out. We're all in the same boat, and we're in it together. They are for an hour, so just go, and it's powerful. It's very powerful.
Renata, what do you do on a normal Tuesday? I want to get a rundown of your day.
On a Tuesday. Tuesday is my down day.
Okay.
But we do, so a Wednesday, we do school in the morning, and then we have Treehouse. I'm here for 1:30 for Treehouse, and then we have Bloom in the evening, and then on Wednesdays, my husband has Bible study. So the kids and I go home, and we get supper ready, and then Rick comes home, and we have supper. But there's always something. Today's Friday. Yeah, the kids had... we do a little choir at the Presbyterian Church in Bridgeton.
Okay, nice.
The kids do with a bunch of it's a homeschool choir group, which is really awesome. We do that Friday mornings. We're busy, There's always something going on. My husband owns and operates his own business. He's a diesel mechanic, so the kids are always down at the shop, and that's a big, like I always say, James's friends, he's got more senior citizens for friends than he does kids because the customers, and they're just learning so much down there, about, fixing, but also just socialization and talking and just being around the business. And so that's a big part of our day too, is seeing what's going on down there. We usually every day have lunch with Rick down at the shop, and we're a pretty tight family, so we're together a lot.
How do you keep being so driven with a tight schedule like that? What do you do either to...
Coffee. A lot of it.
What do you do?
Coffee is my thing.
Oh, man.
I think it's just the natural, the power of God, the power of Jesus. I don't know, that makes me... And I just want what's best for my children. And it doesn't seem like that's much, but that's a lot. And when you have kids, before I ever had kids, I had a dog, and I worked, and I had fun, and I never ever thought I'd be where I am now. I had the simple life, very simple life. And once you have kids, your whole life changes, and you just want to give them the best you can give them. And I think that's what drives me, is my kids. And my husband wholeheartely supports me and keeps pushing me too, so it's like a team effort. I don't have a job, but I have a job. Yeah. I don't clock in and out. It's like a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job. Yep. It brings me a lot of joy to make other people happy. So like just having the kids, often we have other kids over to our house to play, or we'll go do things, together. And it's fun watching the kids just be kids together and go to Dr. Drew and his animals too, in the middle of the day, and just do their thing. And, the friendships they've built, it pleases me also, so.
How'd you get into serving here at church? And what ministry? Okay.
So, the coffee drinker I am. The second time we came to church, I came out and I'm like, free coffee? You get and then you get treats, and I'm checking out over here, and I'm like, I need to be a part of this coffee table and stuff. And so I made friends with Art, and I was like, how can I be a part of this? And he's like, anytime you want to give us a hand, come on in, So that's where I started, was in hospitality, or the coffee area. And just, because everybody goes through that line, whether they grab a coffee or they grab like a cake or whatever, they grab something. And all the kids hit the food. So it's a fun little place to be. And then, our second time coming to church, we met Evan. And so with meeting Evan, we met Christina. And so James and Evan are buddies, and that's pretty much how we heard about Treehouse. Okay. So we live in Bridgeton, which is about 40 miles from here. And I said, Treehouse is like an hour and a half long. Sure. I'm not going to go to Walmart for an hour and a half and spend money we don't have. So I'll just volunteer while I'm there. So that's how I got into that. Rosie was in Girl Scouts for a couple of years, and one of our leaders went out on maternity leave. This was another just notch in my, this is why. So one of the leaders went out on maternity leave. We had a replacement leader, and she did not follow any religion, and she was uncomfortable with the word God. So I will honor God and I will honor God and my country. That's what it is. I will honor God and my country. And this new leader wanted to remove God. And so I was like, what? No, and we're not going to church. But I was like, no, you're not going to remove. That's been like the Girl Scout honor forever. And we're not changing that. And I tried to fight that right up to the top of Girl Scouts. And they said, oh, no, we need to honor and if she's uncomfortable with the word God, if they want to. And I'm like, okay, we're out of Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
No, and this is, because we're not messing with that stuff. I mean, let's get real. And so I wanted a girls group for Rosie that was the old-fashioned Girl Scouts, Well, look, come in here, and I heard about Bloom, and but they had no leaders. Now, I was new to Mossbrook, and so, of course, I went right up to Andrea, and I'm like, well, I'll be the leader of Bloom. Now, here I am, a new Christian. I don't know what I'm getting into. Yeah. I just know it's a girls' group. That's all. And I wanted to be the leader of it. And sweet Andrea, of course, I'm new, so she's like, well, and very nicely, basically, you haven't been here long enough let's just see how this goes, and then... Well, a couple months later, she comes up to me and she's like, yeah, we'd love to have you be the lead of Bloom. Can you find somebody to do it with you? And I was like, sure I can. So that's how that started. And this is Rosie's second year of Bloom. And now she'll go to Connect, which she is so excited about. That's awesome. And the same thing with that is I'm not going to drive over here every Tuesday for 2 hours and leave her. I'm going to volunteer for Connect too, which they need women leaders. So and it works for me.
Perfect.
So that's kind of how it's God's work too, but it's also like, if I'm here, I might as well give it my all.
Yeah.
The Bloom group the other day, we made Valentines, and we went over to the veterans home and gave them out. And the people, it was the most fulfilling thing. The church also does the ministry over there. So a few of the folks that are routine to the ministry over there, one of the fellas came out and he did a prayer with the girls. I'll never forget this. It was so awesome. He had no idea we were coming, so it was right off the cuff. And he goes, girls, can we pray? And so they all bowed their heads, and he sat there and he just prayed with the girls, and it was so awesome. And that experience, for some of those girls, is something they've never had before. The seed of Jesus is getting planted in those little girls, and it's wonderful to be a part of that and watch that happen. Because there's a lot of evil out there that's being normalized right now. So when you have those situations, there is hope. That's hope at its finest right there. Is these girls... We handmade the Valentines, and the people were just tickled. And then, there's a couple of folks over there that are over 100. So these kids are like, oh my gosh, 104 years old. Yeah, oh my gosh, So it's in that experience, some of the girls don't get, and that's their opportunity is Bloom. So being a part of that is huge for me. It's very fulfilling. Teaching. And again, I'm still learning very much about the Bible and how to maneuver in it and how to find a verse and how to find a book or whatever. Yeah, sure. But teaching a girl how to open a book and find a verse is rewarding for me. It's like they get it. That's what I love about it is it's just you're really helping these kids to grow in Jesus and get on the right tracks. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's very easy right now to get waylaid into some of these crazy ways of thinking and believing and seeing and, that's normal. And it's just no, there's one book you should follow and that's the one you stick to,
Yeah, for somebody who also wants to join a ministry, maybe it's at their church, but they're a little nervous to do so. What is something maybe that you could say to get rid of that fear of joining?
The happiness it will bring you or the enjoyment will outweigh that fear once you just cross over and try it. It's just like coming to church on a Sunday. If you just try it once, I swear you'll love it. You know what I mean? Just you will enjoy it, and it's fulfilling, I guess, for me at least. And I think for the people that do serve, it is fulfilling. I also help out in kids ministry. I work in GM Junior, which is 18 months to 2 years old. Once a month, I do one class. And that is another really awesome thing is these little last week I had a little boy come in, and he wasn't scared at all, because some of them are timid to come in and get comfortable and whatever. He went right over and grabbed the Bible off the shelf and goes, "Will you read to me?" And I'm like,
Wow.
I was like, did you see, to his dad, who I know, but I was like, did you see him? I was like, oh my goodness, that is wonderful. You know what I mean? I just think that's so great, so little. It's already in his little brain. He knows he comes in his room and he gets his Bible, and I don't know. That's great, because there is hope. And our younger kids just need that. They need that. It's times have changed, so things are so different that they really need that.
Through everything you're doing, what's something God's teaching you right now in this moment of life?
This moment, he has taught me forgiveness, which was huge. Through the loss of my mom and my dad, and just life and whatever. They are the glue of your family, and when they go, I had a falling out with my brother, and years ago, and there was a lot of resentment and anger and hatred, and one day I was like, I've got to forgive him. I've got to release this. I've got to, forgiveness is real. And through the Holy Spirit, God, they all helped me. I learned about you learn about it, and then you're like, I can do this, and just let it go and move forward. And that's one of my biggest things, my takeaways from my walk with Jesus this far is forgiveness and overcoming addiction. Those two things, it's phenomenal, the power that you can get that allows you to do that.
I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions right here, okay? So I want top of your head answers, okay?
Oh,
I can't let you think too long on these. To be honest, they're not too hard, okay?
Okay, good.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Okay. What item does your household go through the quickest?
Toilet paper. It's my children, though. It's my children.
Something you are the most scared of?
Oh. Honestly, is getting older and losing my husband and being alone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know that's heavy, but that is what I'm not scared. I mean, I could guess I'm scared of spiders or whatever, but I mean, that is a fear of mine.
Okay. Favorite worship song right now? If you can think of the name.
I don't know the name. I know the tune. Golly, no, I can't think of, like,
Who's
put me on the spot, Josh. You need Rosie. See, and that's the other thing. So, not to get on a U-turn, if you want to finish your rapid fire questions. So, you listen to the radio. Again, we're old school. I listen to the radio. The commercials on the radio are either about medication, abortion, addiction, and they're all like, whoa, heavy commercials. And I'm like, so we found K-Love.
Yep.
So and that was one of my savers, like back when I was going through all my stuff, I used to listen to K-Love and focus on the family and all that. And K-Love, Rosie listens to all the time. And she can name any artist, any song. And that is so refreshing to me. Like, so refreshing because of some of the music that's out there right now that's just horrendous. And again, another thing that her goal is to be on the stage. Like, she wants to be like the girls on stage, and she wants to be up here. And she started doing the choir with Miss Pam, and it's just like phenomenal what she's learning. And through Christian music is basically the Bible. So, like, that's just ingraining that in her brain, and she sings it all the time. If the radio's not on in the living room, it's on in her bedroom, and it's very good, I think.
If you could encourage your 18-year-old self in one sentence, what would you say?
Make good decisions.
Okay.
And don't be a follower, be a leader. Be a leader, don't be a follower. Yeah. Even though you think with my personality, not that I was a follower, but I would always, that looks like fun, and go and do it. And it
Okay,
wasn't
yeah.
probably the best decisions,
Renata, thank you so much for coming on the So What's the Point podcast. I'm so glad that you could come just have a conversation with us. I hope everyone enjoyed this. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And we'll see you in the next episode.